Hi everyone, this is Traxler. I'm going to go over the end of chapter 2, part 1 questions. But I start by going over one more with question number 14. A lot of people are, I think, struggling with that one. So I have two numbers here. I have 43.2 divided by the quantity 4.32 times 10 to the negative fifth. I'm going to do it two ways, so I want you to pay close attention, right? One, I'm going to use it just using scientific notation. If I change 43.2 to proper scientific notation, then it's 4.32 times 10 to the negative, 10 to the positive first, divided by 4.32 times 10 to the negative fifth. All right, so notice these two numbers are the exact same, and they're both in three significant figures. So any number divided by itself is 1. Right? Now I have two powers of 10. When you divide by powers of 10, you subtract the exponents. 1 minus negative 5. 1 minus negative 5 is the same as 1 plus 5, or 6. So that is the answer to F. Now, the other option, for those of you who are really good on your calculator, is to just plug it straight in on your calculator. Then it becomes, on your calculator, 43.2 divided by, and then I do need the parentheses to get it in the correct, to get the right answer. 4.32 times 10. The negative 5 is what the little up arrow button is for. Up arrow, negative 5. So do you see that that looks very much like the problem itself? But now notice the blinking arrow is up in the superscript, so I need to click out of it. That's what this little button here does, gets me out of it. And then end parentheses, and then I hit enter, and notice it gives me the right number. And now I just need to get it to the right number of scientific notation and the right number of significant figures. Cool. Now I'm going to keep going on to the other questions in chapter 2, part 1. So question number 41 is just about scientific notation. And the idea is I'm supposed to turn this into proper scientific notation. Notice there's no decimal up there. So I pretend that there's a decimal at the end, 93,101,000. Now I have to move the decimal place over 3, 6, 7 places to get in proper scientific notation. Proper scientific notation has one number and then a decimal times 10, and then it's how many spaces did I have to move it? I had to move it over 7 spots. And then the rest of question number 41 says round to 3 significant figures. So I look at the third number here. Whoops, that should be 9.3. The third number is the 1. It's a 0 after, so that stays 1. So it's 9.31 times 10 to the 7th. Cool? Here, we do have the decimal, but to get to proper scientific notation, in this case, I have to move the decimal over 5 spots. So it becomes 4.88 times 10 to the negative fifth. Here I have to move it over 3 spots, but it's already sort of in scientific notation. When I move to the right, it's negative. When I move to the left, it's positive. I'm moving it 3 to the right, so I subtract 3. So it's 4.88 9, 2 times 10 to the negative 7. Cool. You should be able to do the rest of number 41 on your own. Question number 52 is you're supposed to just estimate. You're supposed to sort of look at it and guess how many significant figures the answer has. For this first one, that's kind of hard to do because remember the rules are different for adding and subtracting. When you add numbers, it's all about where the number is. So I would actually add those three numbers together. 10.12 plus 17.381 plus 18.2, that gives me 45.701. That's what would normally go in that parentheses, but notice this number is only accurate to the nearest tenth, so therefore this number could only be accurate to the nearest tenth, which notice would be 3 significant figures. I'm going to divide it by 3 significant figures. So therefore my answer would be to 3 significant figures. The other ones are a lot easier, like D is super easy. Since all we're doing is multiplying or dividing, our answer can't have more significant figures than the least significant figures in the question. 0.2 only has 1 significant figure. Therefore, whatever this answer is can only have 1 significant figure. Cool? 55 is a little tougher. 55 means that it wants you to actually do the whole thing, do all the math, and it wants you to give the correct answer in significant figures. So again, I have addition and subtraction and multiplication in there. So do all this in your calculator. It is 2.3232 plus 0.2034 minus 0.16. When I do all of that, because I'm adding and subtracting, notice this is only accurate to the nearest hundredth. So my answer can only be accurate to the nearest hundredth. So all of this becomes 2.37. Cool? Then, and this is a trick, I multiply this by this. You could do that all on your calculator, or all you need to do is multiply the 2.37 times 4. Notice this now only has 2 significant figures. So my answer can only have 2 significant figures, 9.5, and then times 10 to the third. Cool? You can always hold the powers of 10 until the very end. Then finally you have this one, which really seems to freak people out, 2.043 times 10 to the negative second. There's 2 ways to do this one as well. You can treat it as 2 different numbers, this to the third and this to the third. If you have a good graphing calculator, then you can go 2.043 up arrow to the third, and that gives you 8.527. Now notice your original number had 4 significant figures, so this number can have 4 significant figures, 8.527. And then you can do this, 10 to the negative second to the third. When you do that, you multiply. So negative 2 times 3 is 10 to the negative 6. That's one way to do it. But let's say you don't have a good graphing calculator. Well, what to the third means is everything times 3. So you'd go 2.043 times 2.043 times 2.043. You multiply the number times itself 3 times. And notice what do you get? The same number. If you did 10 to the negative second times 10 to the negative second times 10 to the negative second, you would add those exponents, negative 2 plus negative 2 plus negative 2, 10 to the negative 6. So either way that you do that, you should get the same number. All right. I hope that helps you finish up chapter 2, part 1. Finish it up, get it turned in as soon as you can. Thanks.